All righty, I think we are live here. Hey there, everybody. It's Rev Kev. Pray you're having a great day today. Just taking a little lunch break and figured I would jump on here and hang out a little bit with you here on my Geek Corner channel. You can see I'm in here and just vegging out in my nice comfy chair where I love sitting down and reading a good book from. So I figured I would just come and chat for a little bit while I'm taking my lunch break and talk about some different things that are upcoming and some things in the news and just geek out a little bit. So it's great to be here with all of you. And so, hey there, brightest day. It's great to see you here. Thanks for coming on by. Appreciate it. And yeah, so one of the things, just first and foremost, I again just want to thank everybody who has been subscribing to the channel, watching the videos that I've been making, my son and I have been making, the live streams. It's just been really great seeing the community grow and just kind of supporting one another and encouraging one another through this platform here on YouTube. So that really, really means a lot to me. All the the new subscribers, the new members that I have now as well. That's really just blowing my mind of people who are becoming members of the channel in order to help me out with getting some blessings done that I would want to be doing in the community and even around the world through different things there. So if you didn't get a chance yet to look at how I'm actually using YouTube membership, again, I'm not trying to use YouTube to make a whole lot of money. I'm just trying to use it to be a blessing any way that we can, whether it's through DDPY Fitness, whether it's through Compassion Canada, those kind of things. And so I just put a link in the chat here as well if you wanted to check out membership. And so again, it's great to have each and every one of you. Hey, Gregory, great. Thanks for joining us from the Netherlands. It's one of the things too I just absolutely love about this, that this guy sitting in his basement in Canada can meet amazing people from all over the place. So it's so great for that. And here we got one of my members, one of the first people to sign up for membership. We were in the top 5 becoming members of my channel. Editorial, so great to have you here. Hope all is well with you. So yeah, so it was interesting. One of the things that I just noticed on my Facebook page, one of the things that I actually love about Facebook is because I've been using Facebook ever since it was brand new. Like, I mean, when it just first came out, I jumped into onto Facebook, and so I've been using it a lot for like 15 years. And one of the features that they have is this thing called the memories, where you can click on the memory button and it just brings up everything that you've done on this day over the past 15 years. And what kind of blew my mind was this here was the fact that today, 6 years ago today, was when the trailer came out for Star Wars The Force Awakens. Do you remember that day? I clearly remember that day. I was actually at a store. I was at a bookstore here downtown in the city where I live. I was at a Christian bookstore, and that store was actually going out of business. And so I was there just trying to support them and pick up some more resources and pick up some different things that we needed from the church and all of that. And so I'm in this huge lineup in this store that's going out of business, and my phone beeps that the trailer for The Force Awakens just dropped. So I'm in line, pull out my phone, and I'm watching it in line. I got a big armful of books trying to hold my cell phone, and I watched this trailer, and I almost cried. Almost cried seeing this trailer. Just that scene when Han and Chewbacca come out and Han Solo is like, oh, like, we're Chewie, we're home. And I just had goosebumps and all the hair on my arms was standing up. And so it was just absolutely amazing. Hey, great to have you here from the rainy UK. I'm in rainy Canada today too, so it must be the same storm hitting both parts of the Commonwealth. It's great to have you here. Thanks for joining. Yeah, and so man, when that trailer dropped, man, my hope for Star Wars was on fire at that point. Like I was so incredibly excited and just going nuts and just couldn't wait for December to get here so that we could finally see the latest installment in the Star Wars saga. And and I've talked about this before in some other videos and on other live streams that I've been a part of. And I liked the Force Awakens. I really did. Like I when that movie first came out, um, it was absolutely great. That it, yeah, I loved it. I saw it like 11 times in the theater. I think actually even I think 12 times because for Christmas that year, people gave me gift cards to go to the movies, knowing that a new Star Wars movie was out. So that's a good point here, Gregory, about Facebook. Yeah, but do you have a business knows all your passwords? Yep, good point. Got to be mindful of how we use this social media stuff. Absolutely. And so, yeah, love The Force Awakens. Right up until the whole Star Killer base thing. That's when the movie kind of went for me because I was like, just another Death Star bugged me. It just felt a little bit too hashed. We've seen this before, and so, but everything else about it, I was into it. I was into I liked Ray, I liked Finn, I liked Poe, I liked BB-8, I liked Kylo Ren, I liked Hux, I liked the First Order, but I hated from day one what they did to Han Solo. Like I remember the first time we went to go see that movie when that came out, and when Han Solo dies, I ugly cried, and I ugly cried for hours because it was just not cool. Um, but I was hopeful that they were going to somehow redeem his death. That the death meant something. There was some kind of sacrifice that it was going to accomplish something bigger. And then by the time The Last Jedi came out 2 years later, we realized there was no plan for this, and they're making it all up as they went. And so it just went downhill for me ever since then. And so, yeah, but again, for me, it's just so hard to believe that this is already 6 years ago that this trailer came out. And so, yeah, it's amazing how quickly, um, kind of amazing how quickly you can destroy a brand. And I was actually thinking about that from kind of a leadership perspective and just thinking on kind of leadership and our lives and we spend so much time in our careers, in our lives, building up our reputations, building up our expertise, building up our influence and all of these things. And it takes years and years and years and years to build this stuff up. Right? It takes years and years and years to become a person, to become a leader of influence. And then so quickly, you can just completely ruin that. A couple of bad decisions, a couple of bad calls, a couple of bad choices in how we live our lives, and then the whole thing comes crashing down. And so for me, that's kind of what Star Wars represents now. It's something that was built up to be something that was so great and have such a great influence. Couple of bad decisions, and it just knocks it down like a house of cards. And so for me, that's what I was reflecting on this morning as I was kind of doing my quiet time this morning and doing my Bible reading when I got up and just kind of reflecting, going, what do I need to do to make sure I'm guarding my heart and protecting my heart so that one day I don't make a couple of bad decisions that just brings the whole thing crashing down on top of me. Yeah, MacDan Sav, sitting there. I thought The Force Awakens was a decent film. It promised things that never really appeared, though. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the biggest heartbreak for me personally about the sequel trilogy was there were so many great things that were set up with just no payoff. It just didn't know how to deal with it at all. So, anyways, I just wanted to chat about that very quickly. Just this again, so hard to believe that it's 6 years already. And again, there was a good leadership principle in there for me this morning as well. It's like, okay, what am I doing to guard my heart so to make sure I don't make a stupid decision like The Last Jedi in my life or things like that. And then other thing, just as I'm kind of taking a quick lunch break, this is not going to be a long stream today. I just wanted to pop on for maybe about, 20, 30 minutes. We'll see. We'll see how long this goes. But the other thing, man, that it was really cool to see in the news, it was really cool to see Superman in the news so much this week because, as a lot of you know, I'm a huge Superman fan. I've been collecting Superman comics since 1986. I've been a fan of Superman ever since the Christopher Reeve movie when that came out in 1978. And so, man, and I love kind of all the different versions of Superman. I'm loving the new show, Superman and Lois. Never thought that that was going to be a good show based on what they've been doing with the Supergirl show, but loving that show. Like they're nailing it. It's just so good. Loving all kind of the different comics. Like this one here, I just finished reading this series. This was the Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. Superman Year One, kind of in their DC Black Label series. Really good. It's kind of the origin, new take on the origin of Superman. Really, really like this a lot. And and I was excited about the direction and was looking forward to seeing what they were going to do with Jonathan Kent coming and becoming the new Superman. Because there was an issue that had come out earlier on in the year. When did this come out? I think earlier in the summer or in the spring, where they had Superman of Metropolis, and so you had kind of showing John Kent as Superman and what that would look like, and full of action, great story in here. So it's quite hopeful that this Superman Son of Kal-El was going to be really, really good. And the first issue was okay. It was okay. It started off good. It set up some good things. It did have some of the politicking in there, but I was like, okay, I expect politics in my entertainment now. It's just kind of one of those ways. And just kind of assumed. I always assume it's going to be in there. So it's just how much is in there. And the first issue was great. Didn't have a lot of it. But then by issue 2, it's like it was the entire issue. There's like 2 pages of action and then the rest is politics. And then issue 3, same thing, 2 or 3 pages of action. The rest of it was politics. And now we just see more and more and more news that is just coming out with just more and more and more and more politics. And it's kind of one of those things going, like why would I want to continue spending money on this? Like, I mean, the big story that came out, Superman's next big fight is against climate change, and Superman kind of being an advocate for climate change. Now, I'm an advocate for climate change. I firmly believe more needs to be done on here. And I think we need to take more leadership. And I think there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done and needs to be done now. In fact, I remember talking about this with some of my family members who are American and talking about this right after 9/11 on some of the changes that we should have been implementing 20 years ago when it comes to fossil fuel and things like that. So I'm not against talking about the importance of doing something about climate change. What I'm against is having a character like Superman being front and center here in a protest when he actually has the power to do something about it. Like, this is a guy who, can do so much more than just, lowering his personal consumption, using less electricity, recycling more, making sure your car is up to date so you're not burning fuel unnecessarily, sponsoring different kind of programs and things like that. Whoops, I'm trying to save here and share my screen, but it wouldn't share my screen for some reason. Chrome tab. Share. Is that sharing now? There we go. Yeah, and having Superman front and center here in these protests, it's just one of those, just feels off. It feels off because he's got the power to actually do something. Like, he could fly out into outer space, find big giant meteorites full of ice and bring them down and help, cool down the polar ice caps. He, can use his super cool breath to, freeze any kind of oil spill in the ocean and take that oil and throw it out into the sun to get rid of it that way. He actually could do massive, big things. And for me, this just sends a mixed message. It just says, if you actually have the power to do something, don't do it. It sends a mixed message. It's sending this message going, look, Superman has the power to do something, but he's not going to do anything. He's going to protest so that you go do something, right? To bring awareness for you to do something. I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I do, yeah, bring awareness, and nothing wrong with that. But it's like, but man, lead by example. You do something, show us, engage us, lead the way in a way that actually is a lot more tangible. So, yeah, exactly. Superman's latest power, the ability to lower his personal consumption. Again, which I think nothing wrong with doing that. I think we should be doing that. But in a comic book, it just doesn't work. When you take these super powered characters and make them deal with our real world problems, it doesn't work. Like they're meant to be dealing with problems significantly bigger than our problems, dealing with the alien invasion, dealing with some supervillain trying to mind control all of humanity, all those kind of things. And then you can tell a commentary story on social issues. You can tell a great story in there at the same time, but not directly. It's got to be indirect. It's got to be like subtext. It's got to be kind of behind the scene in the story to get you thinking, to get you pondering these things. But when it's just so blatant like this, it's just kind of like, eh. So even after issue 3 and just seeing where the direction of the series was going, I had already made the decision to stop collecting Superman comics, or at least the new ones, stop collecting the new issues. Just because I was just like, it's boring. It's boring, And again, here's a great question: who's the target audience for these stories? Is it mainly for kids or for teens? Great question. And I remember I was talking about this with a family member recently about, well, these stories are for kids, and what a lot of people don't seem to realize is the comic book industry isn't really set up to be easily accessible by kids. When I was a kid and I started collecting Superman comics in 1986, I could buy a Superman comic book anywhere. I could go to a local comic book store. I could go to the convenience store on the corner and pick up the latest issue. When my parents went to the drugstore or to the supermarket, the comic book rack was right there. So I could easily grab a comic book while I was waiting in line for my parents. And now with direct marketing, it's only through comic book shops that people can get these things. And in most cities, there aren't that many comic book shops. Like, I live in a city here in Canada of 1 million people, and I think we've got 3, maybe 4 comic book shops spread out throughout a city that accommodates 1 million people. And they're in kind of these lower end parts of the city because they, where the rent is cheaper and things like that. They're not kind of in the main heart of downtown or in the main malls or things like that. They're really small. They're really hard to get to. And so kids aren't just walking in there and seeing these things and being exposed to these characters and starting to buy them. And so I think that's where they just shot themselves in the leg. It's so exactly, who is this story for? Is it to help kids understand things in the world, help teens to become more socially active? But they're never getting access to this stuff. They're just, I don't know, maybe downloading them online, buying the digital copies. I have no clue if they're even looking at this stuff. Sales would tend to state that they're not looking at this stuff at all. So anyways, that's just kind of what's been going on in the news here with Superman. So yeah, again, was happy to see Superman in the news all this week. And then he got into the news again on the whole truth, justice, and a better world, where they're changing Superman's tagline from truth, justice, and the American way to truth, justice, and a better world. And I actually talked about that in the video review that I did for Superman Son of Kal-El #1, because it was in this issue that they dropped that. So it's already a few months old. It's already like 3 months old that they made that change. They just made kind of an official announcement about it during DC Fandom this past weekend. So any reader of the comic book would have noticed that slight little change that was dropped when Jonathan Kent was talking with Damian Wayne, saying, "Well, what does he want to do? What's his goal?" And his goal is truth, justice, and a better world. And honestly, when I heard that, I actually didn't have a problem with it. It didn't bug me at the time. I don't know if it's because I'm a Canadian and that's why it didn't bug me, but it really didn't bug me all that much to see that and to read it that way. It did feel a little bit more global. Superman has always been, a much larger character than just one demographic. He's always traveling the world and helping out wherever he can. But of course, he is using that principle of the American way, that there is this better way, that all men are created equal, and that there's freedom and justice for all people, and those type of things. So I totally get that, and I would totally respect the origin of that. But I didn't think it was that big of a deal to change it. But I can see how some people would not like it and feel that it takes away some of the traditional values of Superman. But I look at it more as a bigger thing, and that's just my opinion. So I didn't make a video response to that news item because I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So anyways, yeah, so that's just some of the things that I just was thinking about and reflecting on over that thing, right? That, you see, it's not a slight little change, and I get it. For some people it isn't. It's I kind of thought of it that way, again, as someone who's been reading Superman comics since 1986. That even that language of the American way, truth, justice, and the American way, it shows up. It's definitely there. It's on a number of the covers and things like that. But for a long, long time, it's not been a huge driving theme in the comic books that I've been perceptive of over the last 30 years. So anyways, that's just the way I read it. I just kind of looked at it going, hey, I'm all for making the world a better place too. So yeah, Alexander the Great was by, we never shoved it in someone else's laws or whatever. Yeah, good point. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now, for sure. Absolutely. So yeah, so that's just a few things that have been going on here. And again, I really appreciate all of you coming by, hanging out, chatting with me from time to time, watching the videos. Really means a lot to me. I've been posting some things just in regards to how I'm going to be using the membership feature here in YouTube. Since day one, I've always been inspired by people who are using these platforms to be a blessing to other people. So that is really behind the heart of what I want to be doing here as well. My hope is to continue with the DDPY fitness program that I've been doing. I've been working on becoming a DDPY fitness instructor. And so I've been using Facebook for that over the last number of months, but I'm going to be moving that over to YouTube here and doing live workouts for my members here on the channel. So people will have access to it that way as well. And then my hope and my desire is that I'll get this to grow enough where we can start doing some of the partnership work. I shared a video about this when my daughter and I went to Peru to see the work that's being done with an organization called Compassion Canada. And Compassion does child sponsorship. So my family has always volunteered in some kind of capacity to help kids. It's just been a part of who my family has always been. When my wife and I met at an organization that put on shows and Broadway musicals and musical plays and musical productions for the community to raise money for the local children's hospital there to buy equipment. So we've always had a heart for that. And then so when our kids were born, we always wanted to make sure that we were volunteering and doing things in such a way that could be a blessing to other kids. And so yeah, hopefully you've checked out those workouts being a member. So let me know. I'd love to know what you think of those workout videos. Lady Toriel, if you've been doing if you've tried them out yet, let me know how it goes. And again, starting November 1st, those are going to be regular now, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, starting on November the 1st. So when my daughter and I had the opportunity towards the end of 2019 to go to Peru and directly see the influence that child sponsorship does, because we've all seen those commercials, right, where they're asking for $40 a month, and you see the videos of the kids and trying to get clean water and clean food and education and all of that. And I know if you're like me, there can always be that little bit of a doubt going, does this really help? Does this really make a difference? Does this really matter? And I can tell you, right, from experience, it totally matters. It totally matters. Like, for example, we went and visited one village, kind of in the northern part of Peru. Can't remember the name of the name of the village. It was a small little town, literally built on a mountain of garbage. And I think that's the picture. Actually, let me see if I can find that picture here. I think that's the picture that I took of my daughter here and posted it. Of course, you can never find these things directly when you want to show them off. Anyways, so yeah, this village was built on top of garbage, and there was no source of clean water anywhere in this entire village. And people walk for miles and miles and miles to get clean water every day. And the government was bringing water to the town, and what they were doing is they sell it. If you think like those big, the jugs that you fill up and like at the water coolers, what are that, 20 liters, 40 liters? I can't remember how big those things are, but one of those jugs of water, and it was kind of clean. It was possible that you could get worms from it if you weren't careful. But one jug there was $40 American. One jug of water. And a family would go through that every couple of days. It was absolutely crazy on that. And so what child sponsorship did is, through the work that they do with the local church there, the church built a water filtration plant in the church building. Like, I'm no word of a lie. You're going into this area, and there's a church where people can gather for worship. There was this whole education area where 200 kids can go and receive an education, and they're fed twice a day. There are all these different classrooms. There are different areas where they provide services to the families that are sponsored, where their kids are sponsored. And then in the back wing, there was this big building, which is literally about the size of this room that I'm in right now. I'm in my family room, which it might be 30 by 30 feet, maybe a little bit bigger than that, 40 by 40, whatever it is down here, with a massive filtration plant where they could filter the water. And so they would take this water, and they're filtering the water, and they would sell it to families for $1. Just $1, just to kind of help cover some of the costs. And if a family really couldn't afford that dollar, then they just gave it to them. Right. And that's directly how child sponsorship works in that town. And, by working through local churches, by partnering with different communities and different organizations in order to alleviate poverty. So when you get to see that firsthand, it's just mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. Yeah. I hadn't realized how poor Peru was in places. I met a lady from a church in Lancaster who opened an orphanage there. Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I was kind of shocked too, but it was really bad, really bad. Is the Golden Path still a thing in Peru? I'm not familiar what that is, Gregory. If you can let me know what that is. I'm not 100% sure what that is, so I'm not too sure if that was there before. But and again, some of the things that we were seeing the programs that's being done through child sponsorship to protect kids from from the sex trade, from slavery, and trafficking, and all of these things. So that's why our church and many churches here in the city that I live in are partnering together to do more work in Guatemala. So our family now sponsors two young girls from Guatemala, and so we want to see that kind of work continue into the new year as well. So that's just some of the things that are going on. So all the members who become members of the channel here, you're helping out with that work. All the super chats that comes in, that to help out with building these things, and helping that ministry, and building that. Anyone who wants to buy a Rev It Up t-shirt, if you want to buy a good workout shirt, you get, I got a merch store set up right now. You can put the link to that here in the chat as well. And you can buy a Rev It Up t-shirt that goes to help with this work as well. And then I had a few people ask me about this, and to be honest, I wasn't too sure about setting this up, but I did do it because with the music videos that my son and I have been doing, we have a lot of people following us and checking us out because of these music videos. And so Patreon allows us to do some things with the music videos that YouTube doesn't allow us to do. So if you wanted to check out that Patreon link, I'm putting this here in the chat as well, so you can check out that link if you're kind of part of the community here because you really like the music video reactions that my son and I are doing. We're going to figure out how to do more over on the Patreon page for that as well. So that's about it. It's amazing how I think I can just, I always kind of go, can I actually ramble on for 30 minutes? Yeah, I can. I talk for a living. So it's easy to do, I guess. But again, I just want to thank each and every one of you again for being a part of the community. It really, really means the world to me. I have been so blessed to meet so many amazing people from all over the world, just geeking out together, just talking Star Wars, talking Superman, talking leadership, talking fitness, and just talking about life in general. So it really, really means a lot to me that we can do this together. So I'm going to sign off now. It's 20 after 1. I got to get back to work. So I got to go microwave my coffee because I talked too much and I didn't drink my coffee. So we'll finish that off. And so until the next video, God bless you, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.